Hello guys, and welcome to another video of this series of a beginner trying to program. So let's go ahead and let's try to solve the first problem. So this is going to be the first video, and I'm going to show you what I do. I think that this is the most basic stuff here. I don't really know if this is the correct way to do it, but what I'm going to do is that I'm going to open PyCharm. PyCharm is a software where we can program in Python and other language. And what I'm going to do is I already have this folder that we are going to be using, Leetcode Etia because that's the name of my channel. So we are going to create a new Python file. Okay, so we are going to be doing the to-sum problem. That is the first problem. So we are going to name it the to-sum. Okay. So we already created this file, this Python file. I'm going to start labeling with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. And this is going to be the tosum.py. So what I'm going to do is we are going to read the question. So given an array of integers, nums, and an integer target, return indices of the two numbers such that they add up to the target. You may assume that each input will have exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. You can return the answer in any order. So if you're a beginner like me, you're going to say, okay, so what do I do? Here we have a class, here we have a definition of a function, here we have some stuff. So if I remember that we are going to be only using Python, and we are going to be using Python 3 because that's the more recent version of Python. So if you're like me, you're going to say, okay, so how the heck do I start? How can I return something? How can I, here they are unexpected output of 0 and 1 and 0 and 1 and 2 and 0 and 1. So if I try to run something, here we are going to see that they are going to try to test this solution, and we are going to see that the runtime error, you have an error in line 4, and here are the cases, the nums that they gave you and the target, and you didn't return anything. So yeah, if you are like me, I didn't really know how to start. I didn't really know what this means. So let's say that I have already done some problems, but I don't remember how I did any of the previous problems. But I remember something very important. So yeah, this is not going to be a course because that I'm going to explain what a class is and a function, because I cannot explain it. I don't really comprehend that yet. But let's try to do this. The first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to copy all of the program, the code that is already here. And what I have done before is that I have learned that we need to initialize the class. So what I have been doing, maybe it's wrong, I don't know, but I read online that this is the thing that I need to do. So we are going to initialize the class. So I'm going to use x is going to be equal to solution. So we already have a class. So we are going to create or initialize this class. And I'm going to just use these parentheses. Okay. So you may see here that we have a little red dot right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click enter and press pass. Okay, that way you can see that using this pass function you are not really going to do anything, but you are going to see that the error is gone. And if you run this code, you are going to see that, okay, well, this is another thing that I have seen before. If you copy exactly this code, you're going to see that it's going to show you an error, at least here in PyCharm. They don't recognize this list. So I'm just going to change the uppercase here. And now they are going to recognize this as list, because here when we have these arguments, you can say that we are going to get the nums argument, and it's going to be a list of integers. That's what this means. And we are going to have a target that is going to be an integer. And this little arrow is, we expect to have a return of a list of integers. That's what this is. We expect something in return, and we are expecting a list. So this is the first thing that I do. And the next thing is that I copy some of the examples here. For example, if we are going to have nums, I just copy. We need to have nums at the beginning, and target is going to be 9. So, of course, sorry, we have our list of integers, nums, and we have our target, 9. Okay, so we know that the answer should be 2 and 7, right? Because the sum of 2 and 7 is going to return me this answer. If we want to test another answer, we can change this to a 13, because we know that there is an answer. 2 and 11 is going to give me 0 and 2, right? So, okay, we already have our list and our target right here. We can initialize right here. And we have our class that is going to be called solution, that is going to have a function inside the class. So normally what I do is I just want to print the solution. And so we can print the solution, we can print the x that we initialize, dot, and we already have here inside the class, we have the function. So we can choose the toSum, and it's going to ask me for 2 arguments, a nums and a target. So I'm going to give the nums and target. So if we print this, it's going to show anything because we don't have anything to show, right? What happens if we return, like, I don't know, maybe a true? If we return a true, then if we run this print, it's going to return me from this function, is going to return a true. What happens if we change this to as well, this is too easy. Let's say answer. This is going to be a string, and it's going to return an answer because this is the string. So we already know that we want a list. So we can return, for example, nums again. And if we return nums, it's going to give me these numbers. Okay, so we haven't even started yet. Remember that this pass is only so we can have everything in order, have everything where we want it. And we even started yet to think about the problem. I think this is important because this is the way that normally all the problems, we are going to be doing all the problems from now on. Normally, I'm going to copy whatever is here, and I'm going to copy the different inputs like nums and target, and then I'm going to do this because I want to be testing what I'm doing. Okay, so let's start with thinking how to solve this problem. As you can see, the problem is something that can be, if I know how to program stuff, what I don't know is I am a beginner using Python. So I have used C++ in the past. I don't really understand the complexity, really. I still can't comprehend. I know that if you enter in a loop or in 2 loops, you're going to be exponentially increasing the complexity of the problem. But let's start. We can solve this with many different ways. What I'm going to do is to think. We have some numbers. For example, we have number 2, number 11, number 7, number 8. It doesn't matter. So the idea is that we need to think how we are going to get the target. For example, in this example is going to be the target is going to be 9, right? So the first thing that we need to do is we know that all the lists have indexes. So this is going to be index 0. Wow, this is too bad. Let's try to just write it. So this is index 0. This is going to be index 1, index 2, index 3. And let me just change the color. Maybe let me just So yeah, these are the index, right? Let me just place this here. So the number 2 is in the index 0, the number 11 is in the index 1, and so on, right? So what we need to do, one way to solve it, I know that we can try to take the number 2, let's change the color to black again. We can take, let's just have a size a little bit. The number 2 is going to, we can take the number 2, so we have here the number 2, and we can start to check if the sum of the other numbers in the list, if any of these numbers are going to be a match for the number 9. So we can have two different loops or two different indexes. The index where we have the number that we want. For example, this is going to be index I, and the index of the numbers that we are trying to check to match the target. So we can start this other index here with index j, for example. And well, the idea here is that we can have two loops. We can start looping each of the letters and trying to reach the end of all the other numbers. And we can do something like this. I want to try to think with an algorithm, but let's try to program something. So we know that we can, well, for example, I think that for the answer, we need to have a return index. Sorry, a return list. So we're going to create a list. Okay. So here A is going to be our new list. And let's see, maybe we can have for I in, let's have the range of the numbers, because if I just have this for I in nums and I print I, what I'm going to be doing is that the I is going to be taking the number 2, 7, 11, and 15. So I know that we cannot have this for I in nums. We need to range it. We need to have a range. And this range, we need to know where to start. That is going to be for default in 0. But how long is going to be? We need to know how long this list is. So we can have this other function that is length. And here, when we run this function, the I is going to take the numbers 0, 1, 2, 3, because we have the 0, 1, 2, 3. So this for is very good because we already have an index that we can start in 0, and then we can compare it with all the other numbers. So normally I will try to have another for j in, and we would like to have the number, for example, we would like to start at 1 and complete it through 1, 2, and 3. So if we need to start at 1, that means that we need to start in a range that's maybe it's going to be I plus 1 and is going to stop at, we'll say, at length of nums, right? Because yeah, it's going to be the same one, but we are going to start at the next index that we are seeing. So remember the column here. And let's just test, for example, to test this, you can just go and place I and j. I want to see which values we are going to be seeing. So for example, if we print in the first iteration of the force, we are going to have index 0 for I and index 1 for j. So we are going to be comparing numbers 0 and 1. And then we are going to compare number 0 with number 2. So we are going to have number 0 with number 2 and number 3. And after that 4 ends, we are going to start with the number 1, that is going to be the 7. And we are going to compare it with 2 and 3, and after that we're going to have the number 2 and we're going to compare it with number 3. So this function apparently is going to do exactly what we want. So, well, let's test it. So here we need to see if the target number, that is 13, if the sum of the, let's see, if nums I plus nums, let's see, j equals target, then let's print, let's print there is an answer. Okay, and remember that Python uses indents, so you need to be very careful where you are pressing enter. So for example, anything that I want to be done in this if, when it's true, I need to be sure that this indentation here is at this specific place. If I don't want to have something inside this if, for example, if I want to have an else, for example, I can't write the else in this section, in this specific part, press enter, and here let's try to print there is no answer. Okay, so let's see what's going to give us. There is no answer, there is an answer, there is no answer, there is no answer. Okay, so the answer is going to be when this is 0 and 1. And, no, 0 and 2, because I changed the target. The target is already 13, not 9. If I change this to a 9, you can see that the answer is going to be 0 and 7. If I change this to 17, of course, the answer is going to be here, because it's going to be 0 and 3. Okay, so if I want to have the answer, we need to return the index in which the numbers are. So we are going to change this print for a return, because we don't want to continue. We are assured that only one answer is going to be here. So when the sum of I and j are equal to the target, we are going to return I and j. Okay? And for the else, we don't need to print anything because it's going to take some power. We don't need to have an else. We are going to just delete it. And we may have a return when it doesn't find any answer. So we may have here like a return at the end of the last 4, because if it finishes all the 4s and it didn't enter here in this if, never, we can return something like there is no answer. So here, if we run this, we are going to get this list. We are going to return this output because we are printing here the solution. Okay, but what happens if I have a target that there has no solution? It's going to print there is no answer. But here in the problem, it says that there is exactly one solution, and you may not use the same element twice. And you can return the answer in any order. Okay, so I think that we are done. I don't want to make this video any longer than it should be. So this is a very classic solution that I normally studied when I was learning to program in other languages. I know that this is not the best way to solve this problem, but here I think that the most important here that I wanted to show you is that how to debug something. Because if you want to see if you enter here, you can just add a print something. And if you want to know if, I don't know, if one variable is adding up or something, you can just, place a print something. So let's test our answer. I think that this is going to be the correct solution. We don't need to copy any of the inputs because they are already giving you all the inputs. So I will just Control B and let's run it. So we are going to see here the test result. We can see that the case 1 is accepted, case 2 is already accepted, case 3 is accepted. So these are just basic tests that they are giving us, but when you submit, I'm just click submit. When you submit, they are going to test a lot of different scenarios. And as you can see here, all the different scenarios that they try in the submissions, we passed. We passed, but you can see here that the runtime is extremely low. It took almost 1.6 seconds to run this code. And that's just awful. That's not good. You can see here that normally 58% of the solutions use more likely like 45 milliseconds of runtime. So yeah, what I want you to know is that we can solve something, but it is in using the wrong method. This is the first thing that I thought. And then when I learned a little more about Python, because remember, I'm a beginner, I still don't remember the functions, I still need to check online for stuff, but I know that there is a faster method that we can use. And if we click here in solutions, we're going to see those different solutions that we may have. For example, this guy has 1.1 million views, and we can click here. It has the Python 3, so we can go here and click on Python 3, and you can see that this is more likely. This is very similar to what we did. Extremely similar. I will say that this is exactly the same. They just removed this part and they name it N. And I think that's exactly, yeah. And you know, I think that this is the most beginner solution that there is online. It's called brute force, and I remember seeing this in my class. So yeah, that's one way to answer. I'm going to make a video trying to see how to use this other solution, try to comprehend the solution with my way of teaching. So yeah, that's it. So we successfully submitted a solution. Now you know how to submit something, what to expect, because you need to have in this, this is a function and you need to have a return. The Leetcode is expecting a return. So that's the target, that's the output that you are going to have. If we have another output here, if we return like, I don't know, I, and we run it, you will see that the test is going to fail because we are not returning anything correctly. And this is not an expected integer. Okay, well, I don't know why I just did that, because it's expecting a list. Well, let's just try to have a list of numbers, a 4 and a 5, and let's just run it. And we are going to see that the output is a 4 and a 5, so it's not the expected value. And if we go here, it's also going to be a 4 and a 5 and a 4 and a 5, because we are returning directly a 4 and a 5. But if we want to have the answer, we need to give them the I and j, because these are integers. These are not the indexes of the numbers that we want to have. So yeah, I hope that this video uh, helped you in a way, and I hope that you stay with me, because I'm going to start to explain other problems. I know that these are not the best answers, but I'm trying to learn Python, and one way to learn is to try to explain something to someone. So yeah, that's it for today, and let's see the solution or the other way to solve this same problem in the next video. Thank you.